So apparently we're all locking in from September to December and embracing personal curriculums. And I just love that for us, especially for those of us who want to achieve so much and reach our potential. So let's let both the nerdy health coach and the ambitious creative in me both have a seat at the table and talk action plan for how we'll actually lock in for the next 16 weeks and become unrecognizable before 2026 inside and out. I'm no stranger to making life-changing progress, but then every time you hit a milestone, there's another one that you want to hit and it feels like this endless cycle or this endless journey, and in reality it kind of is. There is no one final destination because every time you do something you realize actually I want to do this other thing, and it is meant to be a good thing. But at the same time, I understand that because there's no real final destination, you can sometimes lose your drive, lose your passion for whatever you're building or whoever you're building. And I've been in this boat recently, so I'm extra excited about these trends because they just kind of give you an extra push, an extra little motivation boost. And of course, you do have to do the work and you can't live off of the high. So I think it's best to capitalize on the motivation when it's there and start and get the momentum going. And then you can kind of just ride that momentum. But again, I just needed that extra little thing to help me fall back in love with my vision, my goals, what I'm working towards. And if you're watching this, you're probably also ambitious and have an insane amount of things that you want to achieve before the end of the year. So let's do it together. And what better time to start than fall, disciplined and cozy? Yes. So before we get into the actual plan, I think it's important to just lay a foundation, figure out what it is you're actually working towards. What is the goal? What are you trying to achieve in the next 16 weeks? Because that is approximately how long is left before the year is over. I have been working on all of my goals all year, so I have not dropped off of any of them, but I don't know, maybe you did. Maybe you're like me and you want to continue and you're just not caught up to the point that you want it to be by now. So just kind of get an idea of what it is you actually want to achieve in the next 16 weeks and try to keep it realistic. I understand that a lot of us really overestimate what we're capable of doing. I thought a lot of the stuff that I am still working on would have already been done by now, but here we are. So just try to identify what it is you're trying to reach and what is realistically doable in the next 16 weeks and try to figure out the gap between there and now and what you need to fill to get to that. I personally have quite a few and I kind of broke them down into categories and the curriculum will play in between. But first I want to kind of set some guidelines. So think of these as rules and prohibitions for myself, but I really encourage you to consider which you can take for yourself. I do think a lot of these, if not all of them, are very helpful. So the first one, if you're watching this, you're probably guilty of this, but no planning and then replanning and then over planning and then using planning as a method to procrastinate the actual execution. I am guilty. Hi, I'm Hannah, and I am a chronic procrastinator. I don't remember the exact way I heard someone describe it, but it was really interesting. They kind of compared it by being in motion versus taking action, something like that. And it's basically just doing things and being busy versus getting the important things done. And obviously, all of this planning and over planning and whatever is a form of that. It is a form of procrastination, and I'm very well aware of that. And so I've put a rule for myself that I'm only allowed to have 1 hour a week where I just sit and plan everything from my meal plans to how I'll spend my week, all of that. And I'm just going to try to eliminate decision fatigue as well. That's another big one. I'm going to try to eliminate decision fatigue by doing that just once, and then I'm just going to get on with it. And if I'm behind on my day for whatever reason, I have a safety net, which I will mention. But I first wanted to talk about the reason that I realized I'm probably procrastinating. I realized quite recently that I have a weird fear of failure. It's not weird because it's unusual, but it's weird because I didn't know. I thought I was perfectly fine with failing and then doing things again. But it turns out I am not. I'm not chill. I'm not, yeah, man, it's all good. It's fine if I fail. I'm not that person. I thought I was, but I'm not. So another really big thing that I want to do is I want to reframe how I see failure because it's not the end of the world. It's really not. And I know this on an intellectual level, but I don't know it in here, I don't feel it. So that's a really big thing that I want to reframe in my mind, that it's okay to fail. So I'm trying to reparent myself into embracing failure and understanding that it is a way to move forward and it's actually essential for growth and all of that. And as for the time management safety net, I've decided to implement a bonus work block in my day where I will just have time to catch up on whatever I need to get done. And if there's nothing that I need to catch up on, then I will use that time to just get some extra reading done or maybe do some fun little project, engage in a hobby, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in the personal curriculum section a little bit later on. But that I feel is going to help me feel, yeah, okay, it's fine. Even if I'm a little delayed with my day, if for whatever reason a task took me longer than I thought it would. And so I can just use that as a safety net. And I have that just like literally scheduled into my calendar at the same time every day at the end of my workday. And speaking of schedule, another thing that is really important is to treat everything like it's a commitment you're making to someone else. Whatever it is, schedule it in your calendar and be clear on the what, the where, the when, and show up. Write down exactly what it is you're going to get done, like the end goal, the achievement, whatever you need to achieve, whatever you need the result to be, the outcome, the goal, the outgoal. Write down the outcome that you are trying to hit or the thing that you're trying to do in that time period, where you'll do it and all of that. And be prepared. So the day does not start when you wake up. The day starts from the night before. The day starts when you prepare the night before. So prepare the night before. Make sure that you have everything out. If you noticed in my morning, I had my gym clothes already laid out. I had my lemon salt water already filled up from the night before, because these little things, they just eliminate the friction. Our brains just work in a way that it wants the easiest way out all the time. So don't give it an excuse to opt for the easier option or to ignore something that you want to achieve. And that brings us on to the next point, which is that I want to train my brain to do the hard things, push through the discomfort. Even if I don't want to do it, just do it anyway. Like, do the thing regardless of whether or not I want it. I have a lot of resistance towards a lot of things, and I don't want to be a snowflake that just doesn't want to do the things just because they're uncomfortable or they're hard or whatever. And the thing is, there are really hard things that just because I like them, I'll do them. Like, my mom made fun of me recently. I was like going on these hikes and like waking up stupidly early and like taking these long drives just to do all this stuff. And so when, I don't remember what it was, like there was like an errand that I didn't want to do or like I just thought was so hard, and she just made fun of me and said, so you'll climb, you I wasn't climbing mountains, but the way that she said it, she was like, so you'll climb mountains but you won't go run this errand. Like, what? So I'm just, there are things that I just have so much resistance towards, but that's not a way to live. Like, it's not, yes, I understand like the ADHD brain and all of that, but like when I sit sometimes with therapists or psychiatrists and whatever, and I try to fix my ADHD, they'd say things like, oh, but like this is just how your brain works. I'm like, no, this is not acceptable, because in the way that I live like society right now, there has to be a way forward. And I don't know the exact way yet. I don't know what the right way it is exactly, but I do know that I need to, regardless, try to train myself as best as possible, as best as I can, to try to do the hard things and to just be okay with not being comfortable or doing the things that I like all the time. And on the reverse of that, I think we should really also manage our time and energy well. So yes, do the hard things and all of that, but let's not waste our time and energy on activities or people who do not align with the vision, with the bigger plan. And you know the people that I'm talking about, and you also know the activities that I'm talking about. In addition to that, you should also know that you already have everything you need to start. Like, I still want a few things. Like, I ordered a few things while I was preparing for this, but there are things that I just didn't get yet, but I don't need them to start. Like, I am trying to organize my office space, my office studio space, and it is, it's not great. Like, it's not terrible, but it's not great. And at the same time, I could be like, oh, but like I'm going to wait until I can organize it and everything looks good and everything's easy to access and whatever before I start my work. But that, again, that's not realistic. And it just also makes more sense for me to wait to go get the thing when I'm already going to be heading to that area anyway. And same thing with like my bathroom, for example. Right now, because I just got back from traveling, I had all my makeup in a bag, and I usually have like makeup, skincare, all of that. It's like laid out really nicely. It's not right now. It's just like still in the little pouches. My skincare and hair care little basket by the sink is overflowing with products that are just like almost empty. And I know I need to like go through them and like pull them out, use all the little bits that's left, and then throw them out. And I want to do all this stuff, but I also recognize that doing it right now will just be a form of me procrastinating. So again, I kind of decided that I'm going to, with the whole planning hour, I'm also going to do like a little reset of like all these little errands, so that I'm not using them as excuses to procrastinate throughout the week. Because yes, in a fashion, they are productive, but like they're kind of just filler tasks, honestly. But for now, I do want to embrace the 2-minute rule. And I heard this Okay. I heard someone talk about the 2-minute rule, which is basically if something takes you less than 2 minutes, like do it right away. So, for example, if I just picked up some of the makeup out of my bag, then rather than putting it back in the bag, I could just put it back in its place, in its right place. And in the same vein, I also want to really, really, like I said, limit screen time, but like limit entertainment in general. And I do mean like fast entertainment, fast dopamine sources of entertainment. So the TV, the phone. So those are all the rules and the guidelines. In terms of the basics, listen, fix your sleep. We're not going to talk about it. I'm going to link down the episode that I did on sleep below if you want help fixing your sleep, if you want to understand the benefits and the consequences of neglecting your sleep. I am going to link that below. I'm not going to get into it, but fix your sleep. Fix your sleep. Fix your sleep. I have finally gotten back into my early morning routine, and something about summer just makes my routine super flexible in terms of timing. But once it starts to get a tiny bit cooler, then I can wake up earlier, and it's going to be a huge priority for me to maintain a consistent sleep and waking schedule for recovery and all of that. Speaking of recovery, my workouts. Like I said, no shortcuts. I'm going to do it all right. I'm going to look at what I have that day and I'm going to follow the plan to a T, no compromises. Like, this is just out of principle. If there's something that I physically cannot do, like the only reason I will not do something is if I physically cannot do it, but I will replace it with something else. That is the only, what's the word, condition, the only thing I'll allow. Another thing is meal prepping. So with that hour of planning, I will meal plan and I'll write down all my groceries and stuff. And I'll also have an hour of meal prep every week, an hour, 2 hours, depending on what I'm making. But I want to really, really, again, eliminate decision fatigue and save time. And I have meal prepped this week. So I am on a cut. I'm eating over 180 grams of protein right now. I started wanting like over 150, 160, and now I'm like, oh, fine, like let's just go the higher end. So 180 grams of protein, and I want to probably stay over 35 grams of fiber. I feel like I see better results when I do that. The 25 grams a day is just, it's not enough for me, especially when I'm cutting. And in terms of supplementations, I just restocked my protein powder because I am almost entirely out of protein powder. But about a year or two ago, I tried creatine from a brand and I saw great results, not necessarily physically, but mentally. And so I got a different brand. I didn't really see results. It wasn't an exact controlled experiment, so I can't really, but I decided to try a local brand that I get my protein from. But I also ordered matcha from also a local brand. So let's open them. So I've been debating between two local matcha brands recently, and then I found a completely third one just by chance. And then I looked it up on TikTok and I saw pretty positive feedback. So I ordered like the whole set. Ooh, this is the matcha. So I ordered the essentials kit and everything. I saw that they have a vanilla coffee capsule situation, so I also ordered that. I've never made matcha before at home, and I'm really excited. I think I'm going to do that in a bit because one of the things I want to do with the things that I'm trying to experiment with right now, I'm trying to just see how my body would react if I limited caffeine or, like switch to matcha rather than coffee. I heard a lot of people mention that they had great results doing that in terms of just like how they felt, their energy and their hormones and all of that from Double A. That's the brand. This is the actual matcha. I assume that this smaller box is the creatine because there's a huge box, which is probably the protein. This is actually bigger than I thought. I thought it was going to be like this big, so I'm quite glad that it's a little bigger. They were out of the green apple flavor, so I will be reordering for that. This one's in cola. How many is the serving size? Is 3 pieces. Okay. Fun. It's like eating sour cola candy. Love that. The brand's called Evolve. They're a local brand, as is Double A. Local as in Egyptian, in case you don't know. That's where local is to me. I also ordered a bunch of protein powders. I went back to their older basic flavors, the caramelized biscuit one, because fall is approaching, and or technically we're starting fall. We're in fall. And I love this with, like, this goes really well with anything cinnamony, pumpkin, everything. But otherwise, the other things that I'm experimenting with will include limiting dairy, trying to altogether eliminate gluten, and like I said, trying to be consistent with creatine and just my regular fiber and protein goals. And like I said, like for me, creatine is not just about the physical benefits, it is also about the mental benefits for me. But speaking of my brain, before finding out about self curriculums, the next section I initially titled Brain. So things like mental health, intellectualism, self fulfillment, brain slash the mind. That's a kind of category that this was going to encompass because I already always try to work on either skills or knowledge. So this is my current notebook. These tabs are basically like lessons, like groups of topics that I took notes on that I was learning. So I already am a big self learner, self educator. But again, like I just love this personal curriculum thing. And it's funny because I heard about it from a friend who's not even on social media because like she heard about it from someone and she was telling me about it and I was just like, wait, what? Not that I'm on social media all the time or anything, but I just thought it was funny that she knew about it. And I had no idea. But my 3 core classes, or I'm going to call them class projects, is just going to continue to be what I'm currently building, what I've been working on all year. First is going to be my health coaching business and also by extension, my wellness platforms. And then the fashion collection that I'm currently sewing as like for samples for the brand that I'm launching. Earlier in the year, I just finished a sewing and pattern making course just to be able to launch my brand properly. And on top of that, I also want to work on my creative practice and build my art portfolio to relaunch my art career. So these are like my 3 buckets or like my 3 core classes, class projects, whatever we want to call them. They're very focused on what I want to achieve in terms of like career and stuff. So maybe you're like me and you're trying to build something for yourself. And maybe your core classes will be something like that. Or maybe you have a 9 to 5 and you're like, I just want to have fun, bro. So your core classes can be something fun. They could be like topics you're interested in, subjects that fascinate you. It could be philosophy. It could be learning a new language. It could be cooking. It could be art. If I didn't already have all of this stuff to focus on, I would personally maybe pick something that is intellectual, something that requires you to think and all of that, something creative as your second like course or class. And for the third, I would actually probably pick a language. Or if languages aren't your thing, then maybe something physical. So either maybe learning about health, fitness, maybe learning a new skill physically, maybe building something like that's also like physical, like something tactile almost. I don't know. I feel like that's how it would make sense in my brain. And hopefully, I do want to actually take on languages soon. I'm trying to revive my Spanish, but because I am quite swamped right now, I'm for now settling for the Spanish music playlist that I created and just kind of listening to that quite regularly just to get used to listening to Spanish again. And then hopefully in a few months, I can actually relearn everything that I lost. But whatever it is you choose to do, I want you to respect your time. Like you have only so many hours in the day. And a lot of people will say things like, I don't have time for this, but like they spend hours on their phone. So that's another thing. I have phone use guidelines. I have this whole annoying system. I don't sleep with the phone in my room, by the way. I sleep with it in a separate floor. But like, again, if you don't have that option to like keep it in another floor or another room, you could just keep it in a drawer far, 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 far away. Like make it really inconvenient to get to, especially before bed and especially first thing in the morning. So there's that. I also like told my family, hey, I can't be on my phone first thing in the morning. So just for them to be aware that if they need something from me, they need to tell me about it the night before, because, or like not even the night before, the evening before, because I will leave my phone for a while. And it's just, it's a boundary that I've had to set because I like it's for my literal health, for my literal well-being and my sanity. I also don't work with my phone around me unless I specifically need my phone. I also deleted social media apps from my phone for a while, so that I can just get used to like not using them. And now I'm actually like, it's fine. Like I'll only pick them up when I need to post something. But in addition to that, there are electives and maybe even extracurricular activities, which again, I just love. But I also recently heard someone talk about having side quests, like having more side quests in your life. And that's kind of like, to me, it's all the same thing. And to me, that would include hobbies, things that fill my life with joy, things that actually make me feel fulfilled, that don't make me feel like something's missing out of my life. And also activities that would specifically help my ADHD brain. So I already do the physical activities, I do creative work, I spend time outdoors quite regularly, but I also want to get more into puzzles. I started a puzzle, so last fall I did a puzzle. And then I don't know why I just didn't, like I was enjoying the puzzle, but then I finished it and I was like, I'm done. I think think the reason actually is because then I didn't know what to do with it. It's still upstairs, like on a tray. I Mod Podged it, but I think I wanna get it framed or something, or I think I just wanna be okay doing the puzzle and then just collecting it back and putting it in the bag. So I think the next ones, that's what I'll do. I'm just going to break it up and put it back in a bag. Like it's fine. But puzzles are meant to be really good for ADHD, and they were actually a recommendation by the psychiatrist that I was seeing at the time for my ADHD. I didn't love him, but it's one thing that I did enjoy, I guess, from his recommendations, one of the few useful things I got from him. But I also want to structure a regular mindfulness and meditation practice, which ADHD or not is something you might want to consider, because I used to engage in a lot more meditations or mindfulness and meditation practices the more that I taught yoga, but now that I teach way less, I don't do it quite as often, which is ironic because I'm a yoga teacher. I should be meditating regularly. And because I do pray like 5 times a day, I do have pockets of that in my day. But in addition to that, I do want to work on more breath work for nervous system regulation and even experiment with different forms and methods of meditation and mindfulness. And so I do want to like have that structured in my week. And as a bonus, I also really want to craft. It's been a really long time since I just made crafts, like nothing to sell, nothing for work, nothing for anything, just for fun. I don't know what it is. Someone, I think because I recently saw someone, she was making like miniature clay food and I saw a tomato and in my mind I was like, "Oh my God, a bigger pumpkin." So because it's fall. So I think I'm going to go buy air drying clay and make a pumpkin. And I also really enjoyed a few years ago, my friends and I did a candle painting session. So, like, they got these candles, and so the long white stick candles, and they got colored candles, and we used the colored candles to like use as paint on the other candles. And I think I would really love to paint some candles as like Halloween themed, in addition, of course, to like movies and reading. So, in terms of movies, I will probably only do a movie or a longer series episode only once a week. In terms of reading, I have a vague idea of what I want to read. I'm probably actually also going to take you with me to find the books that I'm going to read this season. So here's my faulty VR, but because the purpose of this video, sorry, is not to talk about books, then I'm just going to go through them really rapid fire. I really want to read The Divine Comedy by Dante. I've been wanting to read this for a really long time. It's quite chunky. It's obviously quite a dense classic. Or actually, the language doesn't seem very dense. Translated by Robin Kirkpatrick. Also want to read The Reappearance of Rachel Price by Holly Jackson. I don't know much about this other than it's Holly Jackson. I loved A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, and this is just a standalone. And I know that it's about like someone's mom goes missing and she comes back, and I think that mom is Rachel Price. I know it's like murder mystery, maybe thrillerish. And we also have another classic, which is A Terrible Beauty is Born by W.B. Yeats. And this is just a short poetry collection, so it's also nonfiction. And the description on the back is by turns joyful and depressing, some of the 20th century's greatest verse on fleeting youth, fervent hopes, and futile sacrifice. I don't know. I just thought that felt very fall. And then we also have Gideon the Ninth by Tamsin Muir. Probably butchering that, but I have been wanting to pick this up for a while. This is book one in a series. I think it's called something Necromancy series. I don't know, but it's about necromancy, and that's all I remember. I know it's fantasy, maybe a little bit sci-fi. I heard it's a little bit spooky. I heard it's funny. I'm excited. And then we have The House of Leaves, no, just House of Leaves by Mark Z. Danielewski. I've been wanting to pick this book up for ages, but every fall I put it on my TBR and I don't get to it. So I'm going to have to bump it up a little bit higher. It is pretty chunky, and the text, look at how small the text is. It's kind of crazy. And it is, however, written in a really interesting manner. So it's kind of like mixed format, like look at the square. I don't know. It's weird. And I know that it's weird. It's meant to be somewhere between like, I don't know if it's like a mystery for us to solve along with it. I don't remember, but I know that it's horror. I remember that it is kind of meant to mess you up. And I know that I'm excited. That's all. And then we also have another poetry collection by Ada Limon, and it's called Bright Dead Things. Don't remember what it's about. I know what my books are about when I'm purchasing them, but then I allow my brain to forget that information, and I just kind of go by, the feeling that I remember wanting to read this for. And the cover just looks very fall. Also, the title, Bright Dead Things. Need I say more? And then we also have a Prophet Song by Paul Lynch. The reason I want to read this is because I wanted to pick up more Irish literature, and I know that this was really well received by a lot of people. A lot of people loved it, and I wanted to read it ooh, cute. I just noticed the bookmark from where I bought it from. But I want to read it in the summer, and I can't remember the reason that I pushed it off till the fall. Except now that I like reading the blurb, it says on a dark, wet evening in Dublin. Did I put it away for the fall just because it's on a dark, wet evening in Dublin? That does feel like the kind of thing I do. But all I like, I don't really know much about it. It's just Scientist and Mother of Four Eilish Stack. Eilish Stack. I don't know if this is just like Irish, Eilish the Irish. Really not. I don't know if this is just like Irish spelling that I'm not getting correctly in pronunciation, or if her name's actually Eilish. Enters her front door to find the GNSB on her step. Two officers from Ireland's newly formed secret police want to interrogate her husband, Larry, a trade unionist. Ireland is falling apart. The country is in a grip of a government turning towards tyranny, whatever. When her husband disappears, Eilish finds herself caught within the nightmare logic of a society that is quickly unraveling. Soon she must decide just how far she's willing to go to keep her family safe. It actually is kind of giving me a little bit like thrillery vibes, so maybe that's also why I put it away in the fall, or put it away for the fall, even though I think it's a contemporary. I actually don't know. I have no idea. I just know that it was really well received. I wanted more Irish literature, and that is the result. And finally, my probably no, definitely my most anticipated book of the year, Silverborn. I didn't even know that I was anticipating it this year. I know that I was anticipating it. I just didn't know when it was coming out. I checked, didn't see a publication date, went to a store when I was traveling, and I found it in front of me, even though I checked for a publication date before I traveled and I couldn't find any. And so I made an involuntary noise at the store when I saw it because I was just so excited. But this is book 4 in the Nevermore series. This one is called Silverborn: The Mystery of Morgan Crow. It's by Jessica Townsend. This is possibly my favorite series, but I can't say that yet because it's not done yet, but I'm pretty sure it is. So this is a middle grade series, and we follow Morgan, who is cursed to die on her 11th or 12th birthday, I can't remember. And this man comes and whisks her away to a foreign land just before she does, and she is meant to then uh, participate in these trials to get into a society there. Really funny, found family. It's really sweet, really cute. Not cute, that's the wrong word. It's sweet and it's warm, but there are really high risks. Like it is a middle grade, but it is really high risks. Really interesting history. The writing is insane. I have I've read the books, and then I went and re-listened to them on audiobooks. And by the way, the audiobooks, the best audiobooks I have ever listened to in my entire life, apparently. So the narrator, I was so enamored by the narration that I ended up going to look up who the narrator was, and it was Gemma Whelan. And I was like, who is that? So I looked it up, and she was in Game of Thrones, and she is insane, like incredible. It sounds like a full cast of characters, or like a full cast of like, I don't know, voice actors, but it's all her. It's insane. It's amazing. And she just captures the emotions really well. She just it's like she's acting. Like, a lot of audiobooks, like you can tell they're just like narrating, or they're just reading, like they're not like acting. She's acting. She's incredible. Like, she ruined all other audiobooks for me. I can hardly listen to any fiction audiobooks anymore. Like, I wasn't the biggest fan of them before, but now I truly just keep comparing them all to her narration. And yeah, so I love them. But this is just this series is everything. It is like, the more that I re-listen to it, the more that I pick up on clues that I realize, like Jessica Townsend has just weaved so many little Easter eggs for you throughout. Like, she wrote this, yes, as middle grade, but like I can tell she also read it for adults who love middle grade, because it is incredible. Now, the last section, or second to last section of this little lock-in that I am interested in committing to is, let's call it appearance and maintenance. So I had a list of questions and concerns and problems and whatever that I all listed out. And then I went to go see a dermatologist. And I would really recommend that if you can do that, do it. Like, go with a list to just ask and have all your concerns addressed. I found out, I asked her my skin type, any concerns that I had, things with my skin, my hair, all of that. And so she gave me a whole new list of products. And I was really glad that when I told her, like, hey, like, I don't support certain businesses for ethical reasons, she was able to also like direct me to local products, which was really cool. And you would have seen the products in my morning uh skincare situation. And I also made an order to another local brand called Bars, and they just make they're where I get my deodorants from. They are all natural. Their deodorants are insane. They're amazing. I got soap for Moroccan baths as well as a hair mask. And this is just all stuff that I realized I want to do regularly. Like, appearance is something that we'd all be lying if we said we didn't care about. At the end of the day, how you appear, how you present yourself in the world, how you is really tied to how you carry yourself. It is tied to your confidence, and it is also tied to your self-worth. And I believed, and I now I'm starting to feel that the more I take care of myself in this way, in this like physical way, this external way, the more I signal to myself that I care about myself and that I value myself. And I've always believed that obviously health and like quote unquote beauty comes from within. And I'm not saying this in a cheesy way, like, oh my God, it comes from within. No, no, that's not what I mean. I mean, sure, but no. I meant like nutrition wise, like how you sleep, how you eat, how you hydrate, all of that, like eating your skincare, that kind of thing. And I still do believe in that. But I think I've already doing everything that I can in terms of that, and I would now like to do everything in my power. Like, I'm addressing the internal stuff, so can I now address the external stuff? So I just wanted to take more care of myself, and I think I just wanted to solidify a routine. Like, I used to have a routine that I would do weekly. Now it's just kind of like I do it every now and then. There are things that I do like daily, or like things that I do as I see that I need to, but I want a structured weekly routine, and then also a monthly routine. So things like my nails, I don't need to do every week. I can do every month. And then something weekly that I would do is something like body scrubs, face mask. I have a whole list that I wrote down because I know that I'll never remember this stuff, and I don't want to burden my mind by trying to remember this stuff. So I just have like a weekly reset list that I wrote that I have started to implement, and I just feel so much better now. Like, I feel better like inside, because there's just, I think, something really romantic and romanticizing, I don't know, about the act of taking care of yourself, about like doing your skincare, doing your hair with hair mask, scalp mask, face mask, all of that. And so, yeah, I'm really excited about that. And at the same time, I feel like I said, it signals like to yourself, hey, I care about me and I deserve this. And I feel weird like saying this because I also don't want to tip into the the side of heavy consumerism of like, oh, you need A, B, and C. And like, you don't need so many things. You don't need a lot. I think you just need to figure out what it is you do really need, like the basics, and then just stick to them. You don't need 1,000 products. You don't need 1,000 anything. You just want have to figure out what it is. And by the way, a lot of this stuff you can like look up recipes online and just make natural things at home, like whether it's like masks or like a lip scrub. Like, I know that the simplest thing to make is a lip scrub with like sugar, and I don't remember what else. Um you can look it up. I think lip scrub is made with sugar and lemon, something like that. But there are a lot of things that you can just make yourself, and you don't even need to like purchase anything expensive. And when you will purchase, I would definitely recommend that you go local as much as you can, and also like obviously from ethical places. And I kind of went both routes. So on one hand, I went to the dermatologist and I was like, hey, help buy it, but she recommended me things that are very specifically and like pharmaceutical adjacent. But the other side is that I also wanted to get all natural things. So like, I'm kind of tackling it from all angles. You don't even need to do that, but like, I think that is a nice balance. But I think if you figure out what it is that you prioritize, you could just go that. And especially because I have multiple concerns that I want to address, you might need not even have all these concerns. Maybe you just need something to maintain where it is that you're at. So you probably won't even need to purchase all the things that I did. Yeah, otherwise, like, my daily routines are very stupidly simple. Like, you saw my skincare in a day, the total products that I use is 4 products, and that's what I use on a day-to-day basis. But I also want to point out that you need to be realistic with yourself and realistic with what you'll actually commit to. Like, don't go out and buy a bunch of products you're not going to use. Don't commit to yourself, like, quote unquote commit to yourself, or promise yourself like, hey, I'm going to do this and that, when you're not. For example, the full body moisturization situation, I know that some people do that on a daily basis. There is no way I'm going to do that. So that's like a weekly thing for me, where I'll do like full body moisturization. So just be realistic with yourself, because you also don't want to keep over promising to yourself, and then at the end of the day you just end up not doing the thing, and then that kind of builds lack of trust with yourself. So that is for maintenance slash appearance. And then finally, the last section is the part where we track. I am doing two types of tracking. Number one, I am tracking my progress with my curriculum, and I also printed out some calendars in both A3 and A4. I'll put the A3 in my office space and the A4 in my room because I realized that when I don't see calendars, I truly do not process the time passing. I don't register it, and it's not enough for it to be on my phone. I want it to be physically around me. I need to be able to see it. And on top of that, I also printed out habit trackers just in case. I don't know if I'll use them, but I have them if I do want to. And I just want to be tracking my progress with like certain deadlines that I have. And the other form of tracking that I'll be doing is financial tracking. I used to track my finances every single week. There was a day that I would sit down and write everything down. And then I was just like, oh, but like I have my bank statements. Why do I need to do that? Listen, I actually think it is really important for us all to just like sit down and have a really honest look at how we spent that week. I'm not a high spend person in general. Like I can go like all year and I'll maybe bulk order things twice a year. Like when I find out that I need stuff and I need everything, I'll just sit down and I'll order everything like I did around now with like my supplements and my my skincare, hair care, whatever. But I don't tend to buy things day to day. Like I barely even go out for coffee. I don't order takeout. I don't go out to eat. I don't spend. I would rather save my money. Even coffee, like I'll maybe go out for coffee every now and then. I have not actually gone out for coffee or gone out anywhere in weeks. If not, like it's been over a month since I've gone out anywhere. But I just don't see the point. I don't know. It's just not how I want to spend my money or my time. But every now and then, maybe I'll go out for coffee if I can't focus at home and I need somewhere to work. Maybe I'll have a change of scenery. Maybe if it's like, I don't know, going to see someone, a friend, which is very rare. Like I don't really go out with people. Still though, at the end of the week, I think it's important to look at this sheet that you can like put together for yourself. I just put together a like table on Notion for myself. So I put up subscriptions at the top and then so just to know what's a reoccurring payment every month. So something like my website subscription, for example, as well as at the bottom, then I have my accounts. So my current, my savings, and what I'm, the things that I have spent on that week, but also what I saved on, what I earned from something, or whatever. So I think the actual act of writing it all or typing it in, whatever, if you want to do it manually or digitally, doesn't matter. But the act of like listing every spending of that week will really um really like bring reality home. I don't know. It will make you realize what you are spending on. And even for something like groceries, like I don't want to sound stingy or whatever, but I'm going to say like I am a frugal person in general. But if I notice that I spent a little too much on groceries this one week, I'll literally go through what I bought and figure out what was expensive and see if there's like something that is a slightly cheaper alternative or whatever, or like a more affordable alternative or and all that. And so it just depends on what it is that you want and the goals that you have for your finances and what you are and are not willing or would rather not waste or spend money on. So I would definitely recommend that. But otherwise, I'm just so excited. I'm so excited to I feel like I'm back, It could just be because it's fall and in the summer I'm just like a little bit mellower, a lot mellower. I think it's the heat, but now that it's fall, I'm so excited. I would love to know what's on your personal curriculum down below, what it is you're also locking in on for the next 16-ish weeks. Is it curriculums or curricula? I feel like it's curricula. Oh well. Anyway, that is it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, I would really appreciate it if you liked and subscribed because that really helps the channel out. And leave me a comment again, telling me what it is that you're focusing on and working on, and maybe even leave it for accountability's sake and a declaration to the world that this is what you'll be doing. But if you want more content, then you can follow me on Instagram and TikTok, both under Hanamari. That's just HANAMAR, the number 3 and an I. Mostly wellness content. And because I'm on my cut, I am also going to be posting quite a few tips and helpful resources on there. And otherwise, if you want more content on here, you can see either video on the screen, and I'll see you in the next one.